Hey guys, welcome to Collectors Entertainment Network. I am Anthony, and this is the Book of Boba Fett review, episode 6. Before we get into the review, I would like to ask you to please check out some other videos on my channel. I've got Star Wars Saturday Night, which you guys may like, and I've also got That Figures, which right now, the past few weeks, I've been going over some Star Wars figures, some vintage figures, some not so vintage figures. You guys might like that, so check it out. Please like the videos. Please comment. I'd love to hear from you. Please share it with anyone you think may like it. And of course, please subscribe. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get into the review. And just so we are all clear, this is a spoiler review. We will be going over spoilers. We will be discussing the episode at length. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out and then come back here once you've seen it. Okay, spoilers. Okay, here we go. This episode was fantastic. This episode was, it's so many things, so many people. I don't know where to start. I'll try and start at the beginning, kind of go through the beats of the episode, and let's discuss each beat as it happened. I know what a lot of people are going to say, because the last episode literally did not feature Boba Fett at all. And then this episode only featured one scene with Boba Fett towards the end. So is it really the Book of Boba Fett? It is this episode more so than, say, the last episode, which really just focused on Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and what he's been up to. This episode did have to do with the ongoing story that Boba is dealing with the Pike Syndicate, with certain people on Tatooine, and we'll get into all that. But this had a sort of an aspect of it that really had nothing to do with him and his ongoing story, and it's really just setting up the Mandalorian Season 3, but then at least half of it had to do with Boba's story, even if it didn't really feature him. But okay, let's start at the beginning. It starts on Tatooine. We see the Pikes doing sort of a spice deal, and all of a sudden, we see Cobb Vanth show up. And he's the marshal of the town in which this spice deal is taking place. And he basically tells them, you know, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You guys were lost. Take your stuff and get out of here. But, of course, the Pikes go and try and shoot him. There was 4 of them, and Cobb takes out 3 of them. And then the last one, he sends back to the Pike, to the bosses, with a message. He lets him take the credits, but he keeps the spice, Cobb does, which he dumps out, you know, almost like a cop dumping the drugs, but he dumps the spice in the desert and lets him go back with a message that you're not going to be running spice through my town. Then we cut back to Din, the Mandalorian, in his Naboo starfighter, and he has located the planet in which Grogu is training with Luke. That's right. We've got Grogu, and we've got Luke. So, Din lands on the planet, and he's greeted by R2. R2 brings him to a, sort of a building where all these bunch of droids are making a building at the time. And they basically build him a bed, or a bench, which then becomes a bed. And he ends up taking a nap there, falling asleep. Then we cut to Luke training Grogu, while Din is off waiting for him. We even see in the training Luke help Grogu remember his home, which was the Jedi Temple. And we see, from Grogu's point of view, the attack on the Jedi Temple during Order 66. But the memory or the flashback cuts out right before Grogu gets saved. Because obviously we know he gets saved. So there's like 3 Jedi in front of him, and they've all got their lightsabers out. Clone troopers, you know, firing. One by one, the Jedi fall. Stormtroopers are coming after Grogu, but then the memory cuts out. But obviously someone comes in to save him. We don't know who, but I think that's a setup for Mandalorian Season 3 when Grogu remembers that. So it cuts back to Mando, Din, asleep on the bench or whatever it is, and all of a sudden R2 wakes up, and there is a sound, and he pulls his blaster, and there is Ahsoka leaning on a tree. That's right, Ahsoka is on the planet where Luke is training Grogu. Mind blown. So obviously they've met. Now, one thing I wish we could have seen, and maybe we'll see it in the Ahsoka series in sort of like a flashback, but I so wanted to see Luke and Ahsoka meet for the first time. But again, That is Ahsoka's story, so we may get that in the Ahsoka series. But in this, they've already met. Now, I think I would have liked to have seen the first time I see Luke and Ahsoka on screen together, live action. Well, in any action, but they've never met in the animated stuff. But the first time I saw them meet, I would have liked it to have been the first time they met. I think it would have had an emotional weight to it that seeing them sort of already know each other, kind of friends, didn't. Although it was super cool to see, and I absolutely love it, to see Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker together. I mean, again, mind blown. And I kind of figured that it was going to happen, but I'm so happy it did. But again, I want to see that. But fine if we don't see it in that order, like we see this now, and then hopefully we see Ahsoka and Luke meet in the Ahsoka series in some sort of flashback, because I would love to see them come together for the first time, know about each other, just meeting for the first time. I think that would be really great. But they've already met at this point, so we just have to go on with the story from there. So R2 knew what he was doing. He brought Mando to Ahsoka as to not bring him to Luke and Grogu, because I guess he has strict orders if Mando ever shows up. So Mando talks to Ahsoka and says he wants to see him and he wants to give him this gift, this armor made out of the Beskar. And she says he's doing good, but but he misses you, and if he sees you, it'll make it more difficult. So Mando just asks Ahsoka to make sure he gets it, and he leaves. But before he leaves, he does get to see Grogu like on a mountain top training with Luke, so he gets to see him and gets to see that he's okay. But again, he asks for that to be given to him. So Mando leaves, and we finally see Ahsoka and Luke on screen together. Luke's got Grogu training with a training remote, and Ahsoka comes and talks to him and says, you're doing a great job training him. And Luke says it's more like he's remembering, the things he had forgot than Luke is actually training him on anything. But Luke doesn't know what to do. Ahsoka also tells him that, Luke knows that the Mandalorian was there, and Ahsoka says that he wanted her to give him this gift. And Luke just does not know what to do with Grogu. He doesn't know if he is maybe too far gone with the attachments, or if he can continue to be a Jedi and become a great Jedi Knight. And we'll find out a little bit more about that later on in the episode. Finally, Din Mando shows up on Tatooine. He's left Luke and Grogu and Ahsoka and R2 behind, and he's shown up on Tatooine. He meets up, he goes to Jabba's palace, or Boba's palace now, and he meets up with them while they're in the middle of a briefing about what's going on. Apparently, the mayor has fled planet, so they think that is the sign that the Pikes are going to start, war's about to break out. But the problem is they don't have enough foot soldiers, in which Mando says, maybe I can help with that. Mando goes to see Cobb Vanth, the deputy that we saw at the beginning of the episode, and he tries to get him to, enlist him and the people of his town to help, because he tries to let it be known that, this is a Mos Espa problem right now, but it will become a planet-wide problem. And Cobb really gets that, and he kind of leaves Mando with, I don't know what I can do, but I'll see what I can do. As that happens, Mando leaves. Cobb tells his, the bartender, I think, he tells him to, get any man or woman fighting age, tell him we're going to have a meeting in town. And just as that happens, we see a silhouette of a figure coming down, just walking down into town. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, are you kidding? Are they really doing this right now? And they did it. As they two meet, you've got the Marshal, Cobb Vanth, over here, and coming to a duel with Cad Bane. Yes, Cad Bane. First time live action. Can you believe it? I mean, it's like, I can believe it. Like, I think that's what they're doing. They are bringing in so much stuff from the animated stuff. Obviously, you've got Ahsoka, you've got Bo-Katan, now you've got Cad Bane. Fennec is sort of a reverse. She premiered on The Mandalorian, and then they put her in The Bad Batch. But that's the thing. Fennec and Cad have a history. If you've watched The Bad Batch, they have a history. So that's going to mean something. He's obviously working for the Pikes. And he comes in trying to tell, Cobb Vanth to be just leave it alone. You leave it alone. The Syndicate will leave you alone. It's not going to be a problem. Obviously, he says it in a much more menacing way, but that's what he's getting across. But Cobb Vanth won't have any of it. And then the dumb deputy comes out and basically gets himself killed and gets Cobb shot by Cad. But I don't think Cobb Vanth is dead. He's definitely not. He takes a shot to the shoulder, and then just by way of, after Cad Bane leaves, all the town folk come, and you can see them with medical stuff. That's sort of a way for the storytellers to tell you that he'll be okay. If he was dead, they would let you know he was dead. First of all, the shot went to the shoulder, and second of all, having him receive medical attention, that lets you know that he survived, and, obviously he's wounded, but he'll survive. Then they cut to the Pike, a couple of the Pikes, Syndicate people, they go to the Sanctuary, that nightclub. They walk in with one of those things that carries the credits. They walk in, they put it down on the table, they sit for a few minutes, they get up and they walk out, but they forget their carrying case. The droid goes, "Oh, you forgot it." And then you can see on Jennifer Beals' face, "Oh no." And then boom, the whole place blows up. So obviously they left a bomb there. What's funny is that because the way it timed it, it looked like the two Pikes were still in the building, but I don't know if they blew themselves up. They blew up that nightclub. So obviously the war is about to begin. But then, for the final scene, we cut back to Luke and Grogu, in which Luke basically puts the little armor down, and then he has Yoda's lightsaber, and he offers it to Grogu, and he puts that down, but tells Grogu that he has to choose. If he chooses the armor, he can go back to his friend, the Mandalorian, or if he chooses the lightsaber, he stays with Luke and finishes his training to become a Jedi. Now, I have a feeling he's going to choose the armor and go back with Mando for a lot of reasons, although I wish that he chose the lightsaber and stayed with Luke. Now, I say that in the absence of knowing what they're going to do with the story. They can do something amazing with the story, in which I'm wrong, that it's so much better that he went. I'm just saying, based on everything I've seen now, I want Grogu to go with Luke and become the Jedi, and let Din's story continue with going to Mandalore, having the Darksaber. I feel like the story of him and Grogu came to a fitting ending. Again, I'm sure they can tell a great story, but I don't want it just to be, Grogu's around, they just got to keep Baby Yoda around because he's so popular. If they've got the great story and he's important to the story, that's great, and I'm sure they have that if that's the way they're going. But as far as what I've seen now, I would have rather him stay with Luke, and that just happens, off screen on The Mandalorian, and Mando moves on to other things, like I said, the Darksaber, Mandalore, the what's going on with his covert, what's going on the planet Mandalore and Bo-Katan and all that stuff, I think, and Moff Gideon, what's going on, all that stuff, I think would be a great story, but we'll see what they do. The reason why I think they're going to have Grogu choose the armor, hence choose the Mandalorian, is for a number of reasons. One, the Naboo starfighter. Come on. That little pod is built specifically for Grogu. We know that. I mean, that's a dead giveaway. Unless they're just trying to trick us all this, but I think that's a dead giveaway. The second thing is that at the end of Mando Season 2, he was training with Luke. Okay? He was training with Luke. If he ends up just staying and training with Luke, what was the point of this episode? What was the point of him having the choice? What was the point of going there? The only reason you would have that episode and that story is that if he chooses to walk away from the Jedi and go with Mando. If he chooses to just stay with the Jedi, they didn't need to do the episode. he went with Luke at the end of season 2, and then that was it. I mean, that's the way I see it. They could be doing it to fool us, give us one last look at Grogu, but I think the whole purpose of the episode was to show him about to choose Mando. Because again, if he was going to choose Luke, there's really no reason for that episode and for that little story. Okay, and that's basically how the episode ends. Grogu's choice. And like I said, I got my thoughts about what I think they're going to do, and I've got my thoughts about what I think they should do, but we'll see how it goes. What did you guys think? I thought the episode was great, and I know a lot of people are going to say, there's a lot of people hating on the show, and they're going to say the best 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett had little to no Boba Fett. And I mean, that is a true statement, because I do believe these were the best 2 episodes, but I do like and love the first 4 episodes. I loved Boba's story. I loved learning about him with the Sand People. So although it may be true that these are the best 2 episodes, and they have little or nothing to do with Boba Fett, it doesn't mean the 7th episode, the last episode, won't be the greatest episode and have primarily everything to do with Boba Fett. And then the other people are just the side characters. But we'll have to see that next week. But I do love what this episode... See, the last episode was really it was an episode of The Mandalorian. We just find it's just a setup. This episode definitely had some of, if not Boba Fett, it had some of the story of the Book of Boba Fett, with the Pikes, Cobb Vanth on Tatooine as a marshal coming in. It had a lot to do with that, half of it, and then about half of it had to do with, Grogu and Din and Luke and all that stuff. But it brought in Luke. It brought in Grogu, of course. It brought in Ahsoka. It brought in Cobb Vanth. It brought in Cad Bane. This is what they can do with a live-action TV show. They can have, a super, universe of shows. And that's why I love that they're doing most of these shows in this timeline. It's the best timeline to be. Because we grew up with the original trilogy, right? We grew up, or all of it, the prequels or whatever it is. It's up until, Disney bought it, the last part of the story on film or on animation or whatever was Return of the Jedi. So this was the time frame we always wondered what happened next after Return of the Jedi. What happened next? And yeah, it's 5 years. 5 years of the dust settling after the Galactic Civil War. But what happened next? What's Luke doing? What's Leia doing? Obviously, we haven't seen Leia yet, and we haven't seen Han, but we have seen Luke both in The Mandalorian and now the Book of Boba Fett. So this is a great time to have multiple shows telling what's going on in the galaxy, and crossovers, and guest stars, and people from animated shows. It's just, this is awesome, and this to me is the future of Star Wars. I can't imagine. I think the next movie is supposed to be the Rogue Squadron movie, and I'm sure it'll be great if that's actually what's going to be next. I know there were delays, but I think that's back on track. I can't see that really interesting me as much as what's going on Disney Plus. You've got the Mando season 3 coming up. We've got Book of Boba Fett now. We've got the Ahsoka series coming. We have Andor, which I am excited for. I know some people are not, but to me, a spy thriller type of show is great. It's just not in this time frame. We have the Acolyte, which is coming, which is not in this time frame. But we do have Mando, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, and I believe they're going to retool the, whatever it was, Rangers of the New Republic. I think that's going to be retooled for a Bo-Katan show, from what I hear, what the rumors are. So that could be 4 shows. The storytelling, could be absolutely amazing. All right, well, that is my thoughts on it. That is a recap, a review, my thoughts, my ideas of what they could do, what they should do, what they might do, what they'll probably do. But I want to hear from you. Tell me down in the comments below. What do you think they're going to do? And is that what you think they should do? Are they the same? Are they different? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Like the video. Share it with anyone you think may like it. Check out my other videos on the channel. Star Wars Saturday Night. the past few weeks of That Figures, and in fact next week's episode of That Figures is going to be about Star Wars figures, so please subscribe. You can catch all of those videos as they drop, and also the ones that I already have. And go to Collectors Entertainment Network on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page there you can like, and I've even got myself on Twitter at CollectorsEN for Twitter. Alright, that is it for this week's Boba Fett review. Can't wait to see you next week for the finale review. And until then, may the Force be with you, and have a good one.